29-74. The man who changed the game stands alone.
I'm still trying to push the envelope, to be honest. Like, I feel like there's, a lot left in the tank for the rest of my career. So I'm appreciative, it's surreal, but I'm not done yet.
So impressive, and I love that they showed Steph with his practice moves translating into games. Kids need to understand it. It doesn't just happen because you're blessed with talent. A ton of work goes into it. Isaiah, you have been one of the greatest players to play the game. You played with greats. What does this look like behind the scenes, the journey to get to the pinnacle?
I mean, the sacrifices that you make, the personal sacrifices that you make, with family time, with friends, and just being so locked in, you miss out on a lot of, life, so to speak, because you're so zoned in and you're trying to become perfect in your craft. And, he's perfect in this craft. And, the thing that I loved watching this piece the most in that moment was, from the brotherhood of the NBA as a former player, seeing the son of a dad have this moment in the NBA for all us former and current NBA players. I mean, this was like, just one of the most beautiful moments ever in our sport. Again, because as fathers, right now, to cheer for one of our brothers' sons, and then he, rise to this level. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I don't want to leave out Klay Thompson in this also, because, these are beautiful moments for these families and former players.
That's a good point. Coach Van Gundy, your time in Miami, you hear a lot about how the whole Miami Heat culture, right? Trying to create this system of trying to strive towards perfection. And then you see someone like Steph Curry, who over the summer, he would not count a basket as a made basket if it hit any part of the rim. I mean, that's a level of perfection that no one thinks they can attain. So how is it even possible? And what do you do when you're opposing him?
Oh, my God. Now, there's a question.
Yeah, and I want to hear that answer.
Listen, I mean, see, here's the real problem, I think, with Steph Curry is, and when you play them, is players become so focused on trying to keep him from getting the ball and get shots that it just opens up so much for their team. They get a lot of layups. Guys are switching out early to take away a shot. Screener slips to the rim, layup, and we'll see some of that a little bit later when we watch him play tonight. I mean, they get shots based on him. So I think you're not stopping him. You got to obviously make it as tough on him as you can, but I don't think you want to overreact so much that you just open up everything else to their team.
Well, since you started talking about offense, Coach Van Gundy, why don't you keep it? Let's talk a little bit about the Warriors' offense and what you see when you look at how they move around.
Well, I mean, that's just it. I mean, they play the game very well. They probably move without the ball better than any team in the league. And what people don't realize with them, because they focus on the shooting, they lead the league in cutting baskets. There's Peyton on the cut from the weak side. Why? Cutting, but created by the attention that's paid to Steph Curry. Ball goes into the post here of the shooting, but to me, it's the movement without the ball. The ball movement and the player movement without the ball that makes them a special team offensively.
Yeah.
And Isaiah, the unselfishness has to factor in, right? Because he can make that pass. We know he's capable, but he's willing and he wants to make that pass.
Yeah, and you hit it, the nail right on the head when you say the unselfishness, because, as Coach just pointed out, their passing and their movement, but also their screening, and in basketball, old school basketball, we're taught the screener gets the shot, right? So how does Steph Curry get open so much? Because he sets good screens. And when you set a screen, now the defender has to react, and you step back and you get shots or you moving around. Also, what they do offensively is they occupy the weak side. And your defense is good. Your defense is as good as only your weak side can help and recover. And what they do on the weak side of the basketball is they keep you occupied so your defense can't help, and then they can kill you on the strong side. And when you do help, okay, they kill you on the weak side. So they really have it going on. And credit Steve Kerr and, his basketball, pedagogy in terms of what he learned from and the things that he's been able to instill and put into this Warriors organization and their style of play, it's different than the way any team is playing in the NBA today, and that's why I think they're so successful.
Well, Golden State will play Denver. That'll be on our air here, 10 o'clock. That's the second game. The first game, 9 career three-pointers made. Tonight could be the night, I would assume, unless something insane happens. He's going to hit at least one, so he'll get to 3,000. Welcome inside our NBA TV studios, everybody. I'm Stephanie Reddy, alongside the Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas and Coach Stan Van Gundy. We've got coaches today, so this is going to be a good one because we have a lot to talk about. 8 games in the NBA this evening, and as you know, unless you've been under a rock, health and safety protocols are taking its toll on this league and every league, right? So you look at who's in and who's out for the Wizards and the Heat. It's a lot. Bradley Beal, we were hopeful he might return. 2 games he's missed. This will be his 3rd straight. Only 8 players available to play for the Washington Wizards. Miami Heat have Kyle Lowry and Bam Adebayo out. PJ Tucker is now out. They have good news. They're one of 6 teams top 10 offensively and defensively. Stan, I know you like that stat because it tells you a lot about where they can go.
Well, it does. I mean, those are the teams that usually at the end of the year are good. You've got to be able to play at both ends. If we look at the teams who were in the top 10 both ends of the court last year, it was the 2 teams in the finals, Milwaukee and Phoenix, Utah, who had the best regular season record, and the Clippers, who might have advanced to the finals if they had had Kawhi Leonard. So when you look at the best teams, they're going to be the teams who can play both ends of the court.
So, Coach Thomas, put your coaching hat on, if you will. When you face a situation like this, where you have only 8 players available, I mean, every night, and you don't even know who those 8 will be until close to game time, what is the school of thought? How do you press through and try to make it through the games?
Believe it or not, the ideal situation to have from a coaching standpoint is 8 players. From a minutes and a rotation standpoint, you get to manage the minutes. Now, who are those 8 players, right? From a talent standpoint, they may not have the type of talent. But from a game management standpoint and understanding like who goes in at what time and who's going to match up with who, ideally the best situation to have is 8 players or 9 players at the most from a coaching standpoint. And you see when you get to the playoffs, that's normally what happens. Coaches pare down their lineups to 8, 9 players that they really go with.
And I see you over there nodding and grinning, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for players, right?
Yeah.
Guys know you're going to get minutes now. You're not looking over your shoulder. You know going into the game, I'm going to get 25 or 30 minutes tonight. Yeah. And so I think players tend to relax and get into a better rhythm, especially the bench guys, because they're going to play. It's not going to be 8 minutes now. They're going to get time.
So if I put on my player hat, right?
Okay, do it.
I'm playing